first. Heart's been beating fast, 'cause I know what I should do, and it isn't be with you. No, it isn't be with you. Not gonna let you steal this moment, so don't ask me what I mean. Cross-faded trying to hone it. You're not coming home with me.
Travail.
It's a little bit crazy. You're suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal? That you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know.
That you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel. And good morning to everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and shalom, shalom, shalom. And we are here to look at a very serious teaching that's actually going to be going forward this week and next week, because this is just part one of 2 parts, which we're going to get the clear foundation on what this is actually talking about spiritually. So many people teach this in a carnal state, which is it's really crazy once you really understand what the Bible is saying. And it's not crazy on what the Bible is saying, but it's crazy what people teach and how much craziness they get into it. But before we do, we still got to do the due diligence of what's been happening these past weeks with the churches of Christ. Yeah, I want to make sure that we winding down to where it's almost to the end, where we had offered them, and all they have to do is answer 3 questions based on each year that we want to name, and we only named 3 years. But they say that they are the church that you see actually in the Bible, which we know is a lie. And they pulled it, and they said that they started in 33 AD at the time of Pentecost, which they still don't understand what Pentecost actually mean. And with that, we offered them a $50,000, which that's something that was being put up by myself. However, we had some other people came in, and they offered them $1 million to come up with this one. With all they have to do is do that one question, where I can come in and just say, who was your church leader in year 920? And they should be able to tell me who the elders, the leaders are, and where they was located. However, they have chosen to not do anything. Now they have switched over, and they turned over a new leaf, which is just another lie, where now they're saying that the church is now spiritual. So it's not carnal, but now they're trying to put it back on us. So the same thing is, we will take the same thing, but they won't come here to do anything. And as I said, we'll take, even if you want to say it's spiritual, we'll hold to that. If that's what you want to say. However, if it's spiritual, then you have to eliminate all those apostles that you guys said that was over there. You have to eliminate them now because it's spiritual. And can't nobody sit there, be a leader, because it's only one leader in the kingdom, and that's Yahushua, or that's Christ. So we got a problem. No matter where you run, you keep running into issues. But that offer is there. So we have to do our due diligence, and within 2 weeks, this actually, a little bit less than 2 weeks, this actually be over. But then we'll stop dealing with such clowns as what they are. We have another part where I want to make sure that we understand is Jesus' prayer on trial. Jesus' prayer on trial. And we seen a little trailer of that will be starting again tomorrow. We're doing the second session part of that. And it's good for you guys to really come in there, really find out what is going on. And you'll see some of the wiles of the devil on how they give you a world view and what things they can come against. This is a way to where if you want to sharpen your tools in your toolbox, this is what I recommend that you make sure you be part of tomorrow. Now we're going to have people where we're going to have some people inside of the Zoom area. We're going to also show this part on side of the outside. And right now we're looking at, you can see the document over at kjbu.org. You can go there, you can download the court doc. And we're looking at verse 57. And we'll be calling people to the stand to defend what verse 57 says. We've seen that in the trailer, what it's saying. So we're going to have that, and we're going to see the wiles of the devil on how they can flip and trip up you on the Bible. But you're going to see things to where you're going to see where people will make contradictions. And we're going to amplify those, because I'm going to show you contradictions that I myself can show you that it can be a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction, because we're going to always, at the end of this, we show you what it actually is. But I want to show you how slick people can be and how dangerous it is on knowing what the truth is. So we're looking at this one. We're looking at Armageddon. Armageddon. And this is something that people really want to see and what's going on. And a lot of people teaches on this. A lot of people, they do all kinds of things. They make movies on this one word, Armageddon. So we have to bring this up because I wanted to do it all in one, but to make sure that we have a foundation understanding what is going on and what we have to deal with and what we have to do for this Armageddon. Then we're going to find out on the second piece where this war is all out and it's fully up and running. So we're going to find out these things. So we're going to look at this in a more deeper manner and find out what's going on with Armageddon, because people are seeking the truth about this war. People is seeking truth about this war, Armageddon. And if you look at Armageddon, is it a truth or is it a fairy tale? Is it truth or is it a fairy tale? And this is what we want to look at. And you have people that making these movies and books and stuff of war, Armageddon, and they push it more into a fairy tale type and more than what the truth is. So we need to look at this in a closer way to find out what the Bible is actually placing on us and what is being required of us. So I want to invite you over. We're gonna look over here. We're gonna go to Revelations. And we're going to look at Revelation chapter 16, and we're going to pick it up at 16. We're going right over here into the first area right here. And just to let some people know, as we going through this, if your kids is not strong, I'd say you might need to sit them out. Because some people, even some grown people, is not going to be able to take what's going on. The same thing is I will be doing a teaching later this afternoon at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I will be doing another one, which is talking about pride. And that teaching will be going right here at 4 o'clock today. And I'll show that once we finish up here. I'll show you that to where we can see what that teaching will be all about. But right here, we're looking at this. It says, and he gathered them together into one place called, in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. Armageddon. It's right here, right in front of us. We can't miss it. But he gathered us together, and the thing is this, it's right here in Revelation. So we know it's something that's real. We know this is something that's going on. And if it's not real enough for you, it's right there. Armageddon. In the Hebrew tongue is Armageddon. But what do Armageddon mean is the thing. What do it mean? Because once we start finding out what stuff mean, we can start opening up what he's actually talking about. In Armageddon, we're going to make sure you write these things down and pin this to where you can get it deep into your soul. But it means the height of Megiddo. And the reason why it's height of Megiddo, we'll see this all through the Old Testament, Megiddo. You'll see it constantly, Megiddo. And Megiddo is actually talking about the place of troops. And you'll see this when spiritually talking about the place of multitudes, the crowds in great numbers in one place. That's what Armageddon is talking about. That's why we have a problem. We have a problem that we have to get straightened out and really understand what the Bible means. Because Armageddon is mainly just a gathering place for people of disobedience. And on top of that, people who love to hear lies and lie against the Most High God. I want you to really pay close attention to this. This is why I'm even doing the teaching later on pride, because issues that's going on. And we see this, and it's talking about the Most High God, and God is about to protect what's his. So the Most High God is to protect what's his. So the main thing is why he have our vessels available, and we're being trained. We're being trained in the house, which is the wilderness, to fight outside, not inside. So we have to look at this. So we're entering to Armageddon. And most of us don't know. We're going to find out some things. Are we already there yet? Are we there yet? So we got to start looking at this. And this is when the party starts. This is why I say this is not for the faint of heart. Because some things are going to be said here that really going to challenge you. Some things are going to be said here where you really need to come to grips with yourself. So this is very serious on what we're talking about. And we're going to find out what's going on, because many people will claim, and I'm want to make sure we emphasize it, many people claim they had a spirit. They had the Spirit of God, and they're lying. See, the main thing is we're going to find out how this works and why Armageddon is set up this way. The same example, we're going to look at Matthew chapter 4. We're going to look at verse 1. And it says, then was Yahushua led up in the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. This is the construct. This is the construct on how everything is set up. And it's the purpose, and the purpose of this is to see, is you going to be obedient to the voice of our Creator through the place of choice. So the focus of the entire exercise that you're going through your life right now, is eternal life, or are you going to choose eternal death? But one must reach the other side and cannot stop, or be noisy, and some people want to be rubbernecks and stuff like that. And look around as you moving through this world. You want to look around and window shop, looking outside and seeing these things that is in this world, and not focusing on what you need to be focusing on. We have to stay straight ahead as a whole. We cannot be rubbernecking back and forth. But we want to sit there and see, because he's telling us, in each and every one of us, to follow the voice. He's telling all of us to follow the voice and not be rubbernecks. Yahushua, he went up into the wilderness, and he went before us. And he is going to be tempted of the devil. And we see even one before him. We're going to see this even here. And we're going to look at Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 25. Because this is talking about Adam. It's talking about the man and the woman. And it telling you right here, it says, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Were not ashamed. They naked. Going into a place of war. Naked. Entering into the construct or the wilderness. Enter into the Armageddon, where everything, now a war going to happen and you are part of it. They're naked. I want you to pay attention to that. in the wilderness, the construct of where everything is going to go down. We done went in there naked. I want you to remember something. We have to be clothed. We have to be clothed to go into this place. And you'll see, once we need to be clothed, we got a problem. Because soon as we go into the construct, we're going to be met. Yeah, I wish I did. He was met of the devil. Same as Adam. He was met. Somebody met him at the door. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. In chapter 3, it says this. It says, now the serpent, the devil, was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Spirit of thy God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not learn of every tree of the garden. I'm telling you. Key thing is saying already, he's telling us he was more subtle, he was more cunning than any one of us. He's telling us right there. So we didn't enter into this construct of the wilderness of Armageddon. We naked as we had came out of the womb of our mothers, and we don't have no clothes, and we need to be clothed. So he can say the same thing. It says, had he said, you should not be clothed of every tree that's in the garden. He could say the same thing. Could have said the same identical thing. So we got to remember, one, we naked. Two, we in Armageddon, the height of Magneto. And he's a serious player in the game. He's a serious player in the game. He said, has not God said, have ye not learned to be covered of every tree that is in the garden? Are you serious? So we're going to see what the response is here. Mind you, we're naked. And then the woman said unto the serpent, we may learn of every fruit of the trees. Are you saying to learn of every works of the trees of the garden? We can do that. We can do that. But you got to remember who's sharper. The beast is sharper. The serpent is sharper than her. So if you're slipping and you're naked, how they say in jail, don't drop the soap. Yeah. So we need some battle in armor to be equipped. Now, mind you, he equipped it before he went in. But in this world, you look naked. See, your equipment is how you even see in the movie. He say, a karate man don't bleed on the outside, he bleed on the inside. So the same thing with Christ. A man, his armor is on the inside. It don't show on the outside. It don't show on the outside. So on the outside, we look naked. But on the inside, it's a whole different thing. But people have it switched around. Because people sit there and say, on the outside, they want to look beautiful. They want to look nice. But then on the inside, they full of dead man bones. But they're not sitting there seeing it the same way what we need to see in Ephesians chapter 6. We're going to pick it up at verse 11. And it tells us, it says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, the serpent. We have to put this on. And if we don't put this on, he gonna get us. He gonna get us. This construct is not a game for us to be playing in, but we like to play this game in the construct. We like to play this game in this world. We like to think that we can walk around like our poop don't stink. We like to walk around thinking we can walk around butt naked and get away with it. So it says this when we go back over here in Genesis. We're going to see a little bit more. He says this, and we're going to look at verse 4 and 5. It says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. She said, yeah, because you see in verse 3, it says we can eat of every fruit, but in the midst of the garden, but God has said, ye shall not eat, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So who's the sharpest one in the field? Serpent. He's more cunning than us. But watch what happens. So he tells us, hey, you should not surely die. You ain't gonna die. Who told you that? Who told you that? He said, for God doeth know that the day that you learn thereof, your eyes should be open, and ye should be as gods. You're going to be comparing yourself to a God now, knowing good and evil. Now you can roll through this place, and you're going to know where to go and where to go. This is our problem. This is our serious problem here. See, serpent don't care who you are. You see what he did? Yahushua himself went into the construct. The devil don't care. Let's look at let's get all this together. We're gonna go into Revelation chapter 13. Because we need to be prepared for this. We need to be preparing ourselves for what's to come. Some of us, we like to play a game with ourselves. In Revelation chapter 13, we're going to look at verse 16. We're going to start right there. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, all, both small and great. He don't care. See, people sit there and think just because they know the word, Satan ain't gonna bother him. Them the ones he want. People sit there, well, Elder Johnson knows, like, I'm the one he want. Want to show God that he's a liar. Want to show God, hey, I can get him to turn too. I can get him to turn. He's one of your teachers. I can get this man to turn. He said, he causes all, both small and great, rich or poor. You see what he's saying? Rich or poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand. He's not playing here. But we like to play this game as if we think we're good. He don't care how strong you are, how much you know. He want to see if he can get you to fall. He want to see if he can get you to curse God. Getting caught up. But let's get a few things clear here to where we all be on the same page. Because we want to know what a couple of things are that look simple, but is more complex than what we really know. So then receive the mark. Receive the mark. So I want you to put and write this down, and you can put it anywhere. You can pin this anywhere. But when you want to put mark, you want to put example. Example. You just want to. So it says to receive an example in their right, and this is in their righteous power. So this is in your own power on what you can do. This is within your own righteous power. What you see righteous within your own eyes. He wants you to receive that mark. He wants you to be the example. So in the problem here is not in the left hand. Everything is going in the right hand. Meaning the reason why, because the left hand, when you see that in the Bible, it's talking about your understanding, your knowledge, and your wisdom. However, the serpent put all of them in the right. Understand what he's doing here? He wants you to stay dumbed down from the left. So your power and your understanding is there, which means everything is in that right hand, and it is nothing more than confusion. The Bible tells you don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. He done put everything in the right hand. The example. So now making you see things differently as one being self-righteous. Now you'll know it all. No matter what subject is on, you know it all. Deceiving themselves from the entire way they thought as they was going through the wilderness. Because they know this and they know that. They know this and they know that. See, it says more here. It says, receive the mark in their right hand or, I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way on this one, or in their foreheads. But we want to know what this forehead is. We need to know what this is too. So we need to look at that, examine it, because foreheads is talking about having the confidence, the assurance, the understanding. See, this is where we all get caught up within ourselves. Because now in our foreheads, we have the confidence and assurance and understanding on the lie that we think that we're it. We done screwed ourselves up. Because he's going to tell you something. Watch this. Let's look at this. It says, including that no man might buy or sell. We need to understand these two. We're going to read this contract real close. We're not going to let nothing slip by us. So what we want to know is to buy. So no man, see, once you have the confidence, the personal understanding that no man can't tell you nothing, no man can buy. Meaning you ain't gonna accept anything. This is why people is out there today. You sit there and tell them they won't accept nothing. Nothing. Look at you like you crazy. So no man's gonna buy. Why? You had the confidence of the lie that you into. That Satan told you. That he told you, you don't know the difference between good and evil. You'll know it. So now you got the confidence of this, and now when somebody come get you to try to sell you something, you ain't accepting it. Because you got the confidence in your forehead. And the another part is the sale. The sale is a whole nother part. The sale is talking about to surrender, meaning you're going to surrender to the truth. But guess what? You're not going to do that. The reason you're not going to do it, you got the confidence. You got the mark. You got the example in the power of your hand. So we all screwed up. We all screwed up. And it gets more into this as we got to keep more. We got to keep going. Now, I want to just make sure we all on the same page as we continually going through here, because we looking at, soon as we walked in the door, this is the first thing he met us. Many of us bought it. Many of us took on this. In Isaiah chapter 9, we're going to look at verse 5. It's telling you, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise. Now, we were just talking about this earlier. Whole bunch of noise that's going around. Confusion. Confusion. It's saying with confused noise. In the garments, it's rolled up in blood. In the life of this. And it says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And it's going to be with a hardcore desire that you're going to be into. Because can't nobody tell you nothing. You walking through there butt naked. Butt naked. Actually, I'm going to show you. I want to show you something here. Let's go over here. Let's go to First Maccabees. We're going to go to chapter 1. The reason why I want to just show you something, and we'll keep moving forward, but it's on the same subject, what we're going through. In First Maccabees chapter 1, picking it up at verse 28, it says this: and the land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. So when you sit there and you tell a lie that, I always been in the truth, or I always knew what the truth was and just didn't know where to find it, it's telling you right here, you're a liar. All the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. We're naked. See, the same example is the border in the discourse of talking about his way, talking about his name. In the way of the beast is the number of the ways of his confusion. 666. Meaning that it is unperfect, unrighteous, and unholy. This is the covering that we chose soon as we walked in the door. We got into the construct, and that's what we got caught up on. But you have many of us that sit there, walk in there, and then walk in there like we ain't deceived. But we got to remember one thing. See, once you take on this, what we see what the construct is, I want you to remember who lays this stumbling block. I want you to look at who laid the stumbling block and why. And why? I'm telling you, we constantly do these things and not even looking at what we're doing. So let's look at this in second address. We're going to look at chapter 7, but we're going to start at verse 6. It says, there is also another thing. And that's a full thought there. And it says, a city is built. Yeah, you puffed up. You puffed up. But he had to build this city, which is, you understand, the wilderness is Armageddon. Armageddon is the height of Megiddo. And everything that's in there is actually good. But it's the Satan going to make you look at an illusion on contrary. He said, but this is another thing. A city is built and set upon a broad field and full of all good things. All good things. But the problem, he told us, when we take our butt in there, we went in there naked. Naked. And the first thing you trying to do in each and every one of us, we want to clothe ourselves. He told us right up front what not to do. What not to do. But let's look at this all together. We just want to look at everything and understand what's happening here. So in Luke chapter 9, we're going to look at verse 3. And Yahushua telling us, he said unto them, he went in the wilderness. He been there. And then the first thing he said, take nothing for your journey, neither staff nor scrip, neither bread, neither money, neither 2 coats apiece. When you go in there, don't take nothing with you. When you go into this place of Armageddon, don't take nothing with you. God's with you. No, we're naked. I'm telling you, no, we're naked. So we're here, and everything is here God made us good as we receive it with thanksgiving. God is going to prove who you are, and you ain't going to be able to hide it. Because everything that's in your heart is going to come through and out in the wilderness. Everything. Everything. Actually, I'm going to show you an example. I want to show you something. To show you when we go in this wilderness, we don't need to be taking nothing. But what we do this, and we get caught up. I want to show you one part in this. We're going to look at Joshua chapter 7, and we're going to pick it up at verse 21. He's saying something here which you're going to see a beautiful example on what we do. And when they took over something and what happened. Now, he was there and he was talking to Achan. And when he was talking to Achan had stole some stuff while he was over there in Babylon, while he was over in confusion. And you see this, he picks it up in verse 20 where it says, and when I saw among the spoil a goodly Babylonish garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wage of gold and 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them. He said, when you go through here, don't carry nothing. Don't take nothing. No, I see that over there. Rubbernecking. Oh, I want that. So what he said, I coveted them and I took them. And he said, and remember, they were hid in the earth in the midst of my tent and the silver under it. This is what he did. This is what he did. So we seeing what's going on here, and we'll see what happened with Joshua. He said, so Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent. And remember, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it, and they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua, and unto the children of Israel, and laid them before the Spirit of God. Because he told us plain as day, don't take nothing through here. And we did it. And the first thing he said, we're going to see what's going to happen here. And he said, and Joshua and all Israel with him. See, all Israel. See, just because you're Israel don't make you Israel. See, all Israel is a whole nother ball game. Took Achan, the son of Zorah, and the silver in the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had. So you see what all he did. They took everything. Kids and all. But watch what happened. And they brought him to the valley of Angkor. Oh, you need to know what this is talking about. See, this the party. This is the party right now. You're going to see what they did. See, as we going through this valley, this is why he said, you cut them off. They sit there, they trip, cut them off. Because you're going to see what he do. He said, and Joshua said, thou hast troubled us. The Spirit of God has troubled thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with the stones and burned them with fire after they have stoned them with stones. We don't have time to be playing these games. We're in the world of Armageddon. And many of us want to play a game. This is how you say you take care of the game. You get rid of that. You cut it off. But it gets better. Let's go right back over here and we're going to look at verse 7. We want to look at verse 7 in Idris. And it says, the entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall. Because he set this up. And it says, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, so it was a desire on your righteous side of the power, and on the left side, on your understanding, deep water. It's Armageddon. This is Armageddon. We didn't enter into this place, and the first one met us at the door was the serpent. But I want you to remember something. I want to keep something you remember. Make sure you keep this one in your back pocket. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 9. Keep this one in your back pocket. And it says, and out of the ground I made the Spirit of thy God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, including the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Keep that one in your pocket, because we're gonna see how we entered in and we got problems. How we entered in and got problems, because the desires are there. And he didn't take everything out because he got stumbling blocks set up. He got stumbling, because we got a lot of people like to do face service, image service. So he set these things up to make sure he can weed out those little rats, to weed out all this silliness. Let's look at this all close. In Judges chapter 3, picking it up at verse 1, it says this. It says, in Joshua, oh no, we don't want that. We want Judges. We want Judges 3:1. That's the one we want. It says, now these are the nations which the Spirit of God left, as we done went into this construct, he done left some stuff there for a reason. And he's telling you right here clear, to prove Israel by them. So he want to see who we going to click up with. I want you to see that. He want to see who we going to click up with. In this construct of people, he going to prove us to see which way we're going to go. And it says, even as many of Israel have not known all the wars of Canaan. In Canaan, we want to know what Canaan is. We got to put the players in the game. Canaan means merchants, the traders. And these will be humbled later. But right now, they the merchants. They the traders. But that's what that means. So we know the players of the game. And it's telling you right here, who's up front? The war of Cain. We don't know his war. We don't know how he deals with people. We don't know his game out there. Being your friend in front and selling you out the back door. But it says more. It says, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war in the least such as before knew nothing thereof. He ain't playing here. But people come in here want to play a game. People come in here playing a game. But let's look at this. And all together, it says, namely, 5 lords, 5 rulers of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelled in Mount Lebanon. And that's the problem right there, because Lebanon meaning something else. And it says, from Mount Baal Harmon unto the entering of Hamath. I'm telling you, he's dropping all kind of heat, because what we want to know is who these people and what their functions are in the Bible. In Philistines, it's talking about the land of the wanderers. So some of us going to get caught up with some of them. Some of us going to get caught up with some of them. Wandering around, looking, rubbernecking. And we have some that's Canaanites, the merchants. And you have the Sidonians. Now them are your hunters, your fishers. You got the Hivites. These are the declarers. They pronounce, they declare things to you. This is what they do. So we know what the functioning of them are. But it's telling you we entering into the land, entering of Hamath, which means we going into the forest. We down going in the forest. We going into Armageddon, to where we got to find out what we know. And he tells you this, but he told you, you're going in there naked, but don't take nothing with you. When you're going in there naked, I put something in you. But when you go in there naked and you clothe that and you cover it, you're going to get got. And many of us have clothed ourselves with the things of this world. Babylonian garments. But it says more here. It says more here in verse 4. It says, and they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they will hearken unto the commandments of the Spirit of God, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. What do we do? Today, we've been proven. Today, we've been proven. And a lot of us is falling to a temptation by things that we get into. He said, don't take nothing with you. But we didn't let them take stuff with us. So as we did these things, we get caught up. Because we shouldn't have did anything when we went into this wilderness. But we have let this world catch us up. In James chapter 3, we picking it up at verse 13, it says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. You ain't tempted of God. He just wants you to get to the other side. But he said, but going through this construct, Satan's there. Satan's there. But I ain't tempting you. I ain't told you when you go in there, eat of this sin. Just go to the other side. But they there. He didn't tell you to do nothing. Just obey my voice and follow me. But we want to sit there. No, Lord. You didn't say that. Well, why you got this there? See, the first thing we want to do is make an excuse. Lord, why you got this here? Don't worry about that. You just worry about following me. But Lord, but what about that over there? Why you looking around? This would make you get sticky fingers. Well, I know a lot of us know what sticky fingers are. We'll start getting sticky fingers. So he says, let no man say when he is tempted, he tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man, M-A-N, man or woman. So don't sit there and say, as you walking through this construct, that he done tempted you. Because he didn't. He ain't tempted you. You done sat there and looked over there and seen something that you want. You done sat there and looked over there. Oh, I want that. Oh yeah, I want that. Oh, I didn't look over here on this side. Boy, man, there's some good stuff in here. He said, all I need you to do is get to the other side. Nothing more, nothing less. In fact, let's pick this up some more. Let's go back over here in Idris chapter 7. We're going to pick it up at verse 11. And it says, and this is the hard part. This is the pill we have to swallow. We got to swallow this pill. He says, because for their sakes, I made the world. So for their sakes, he for each and every one of us, for our sakes, he did this. For us. For us. I tell you what, have anybody, I know some of you guys probably seen that movie, been out there. I think they made 2 or 3 different things of it, called Alien. And the reason why I want you to think about Alien, because what it do, it'll put a seed in a human. And then the human, I guess it eats out the human, does something with the human. And then all of a sudden they bust out of the human. But they only in there to hibernate. Nothing more, nothing less. To where they birth them in there. They put the eggs in there. The same thing that's going on with us in the construct. In the construct. We sitting in there, and he had to make this world for our sakes. The reason why, because a lot of us got that Satan seed in us. And it says, for our sakes it was made. It says, and when Adam transgressed my statutes. You see what he's saying here? See, Adam transgressed my statutes. Then was decreed that now is done. And we see what all this talking about. Actually, we're gonna let me put another one up here. I want to make sure we can't get out our own way. I gotta make sure we can't get out our own way. We're gonna go to Genesis chapter 3, picking up at verse 9. But we're gonna go back and forth, because I want to make sure you see this whole thing together. So as we see this, with this in verse 11, it's telling you that's why he did it. So we want to know, because a lot of us have forgot the covenant of God. We didn't forgot it. We ain't dealing with it. We don't want to deal with the covenant of God. We go our own way. So he decreed something, which it was a decision that was made. That's all he's saying. Then this decree is now done. So he had to make a decision. And we're going to see what's going on in Genesis chapter 3, verse 9. It said, and the Spirit of God called unto Adam. So he called us. He called us and hey, Adam, where y'all at? And he said, where art thou? Where art thou? We didn't hid. We didn't hid ourselves. But he goes on more. He said, then said he, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Are you serious? I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. But he goes on more. He said, then he said, who told you that thou was naked? Who told you you was naked? I put something in you. Who told you you was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree? Wherefore I commanded thee, thou shouldst not eat. I told you somebody you weren't supposed to learn from, and you went over there and learned from it. See, the first thing, when you got that seed in you, it grows quick. Because you see what Adam said right there. He says, and the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. Lying right out of his teeth. That's that seed. So this is why he transgressed. You be obedient to the voice, his statutes. But he had to decree this and now done. And we're going to see what happens. And it says, then were the interests of this world made narrow. This is why it looks like this. This is why we in the position we in. So don't sit there and play this game as if we don't know. Don't ever think that this game is not here to be, we just going to go through here lolly-dolly. No, he's not saying that. This world, this interest in this world was made narrow. And it says, full of sorrow. Full of sorrow. Including travail. And you need to know what travail means, talking about torment. Torment. Understand what's going on here. And it's talking about all this here, and it says, but few and evil. So evil is what? But we want to know exactly what he's talking about when he's saying evil. Because most people, that's evil. That's evil. Now let's understand what the Bible says when it's saying evil. Let's understand what the Bible says evil is. Evil is corrupt. Evil is sinful thoughts. Evil is wickedness. Evil is offensive. Something that is a bad nature or in a bad condition in all ways. That's evil. And saying it's full of perils. Full of perils. Meaning you will be put in subjection all the time. You always been in some type of actually, I want to tell you what, just thought about that. Let me run somewhere. Let me run somewhere so we can see being put in subjection. I want you to see this. And just thinking about it, we're going to see subjection. We want to see some subjection. So we're going to see this right here in verse 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26. I want to show you something to where we're going to look at some subjection. We just want to look at it. It says, now we know Paul, he was traveling. Paul was traveling. So it says this in verse 26. It says, in journeying often, Paul journeying often trying to tell people what's up. He says, in perils of water, unsubjections of the water, he's telling you. In perils of robbers, now he got perils of waters, and now he got them on perils of water. He done fell to subjection of these robbers. He done fell to subjection of my own countrymen. So he done fell to subjection of his own countrymen. He's telling you right up front what's going on with him. He says, in perils by the heathens. So now he done fell into subjection by heathens. He's telling you everything. He says even more. He says, in subjection in the city. So now he get in the city, he done fell on the more subjection. He says more, he says, in perils in the wilderness. He in Armageddon, and he done fell to subjection, and we in it right now. But he says, in perils of the sea, in perils among false brethren. We in perils of false brethren. We under subjection under false brethren. You got people sitting there telling you to come here. Christ is here. Come there. Christ is there. You fell into subjection. You've been in subjection to some man. So God had to make a plan. You see, he said, and then what's agreed, and now it's done. So he had to set this up. He had to set it up. Because he can't be having this craziness going on. So God planned, and the reason why I always tell people, you need to know the meaning of these words. It opens your eyes up to everything. You never have to leave the scriptures. You'll get understanding of all things in the Bible on what God wants you to know. He's going to open up his oracle to you when you do that. And he had to make this plan here. And that plan was to kill Ahab. Because we got to find out what Ahab means and what Ahab is. But he had to make a plan to kill Ahab. Many of us are Ahab. We don't know it. But let's look at this here. We're going to go into this and find out a little bit more. We're going to go to 2 Chronicles. We're going to pick it up at chapter 18. And we're going to look at verse 19 because he's telling us something that he's going to do. Because he's telling us right up front what he got to do. It said this in verse 19. It says, "And the Spirit of God said, who shall entice, who shall persuade, who shall get this man?" You see what he's saying? Who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel? He's one of these rulers. That he may go up and fall in Ramah Gilead. We're going to find out what all that means. One spake saying after this and manner, and another saying after that manner. So we need to know what's happening here to find out how this is actually working out. Because somebody, Ahab, is not following the program. Ahab is not following the word of God. Ahab is not following the voice. But Ahab keep hanging around. I want you to understand what he's saying here. See, Ahab is hanging around. He became a king of Israel. He's one of your top guns out there. So the same as this and the same as Yahushua tell you the same thing. He makes these things very clear for us to understand in the simplest form, but in the parable form. In Mark chapter 3, picking it up at verse 33, he says this and made this clear to us. "And the multitude sat about him, and they said unto him, Remember thy mother and thy brother without seek thee." So his own mother, his own brethren, they out there, they seeking him. But he's letting you know what's going on with him. He's going to tell you right here in verse 33. He answered and said, "Who is my mother and who is my brother?" Who is they? Who are they? See, Ahab is the brother. And we got to know, is the brother of what? Because Ahab is the brother. And brother is talking about a believer. That's all a brother is. Brother is a believer. And he said, so who is my brother? Who is another one that believed like me? Who is another one that believed the same as I believe? That's what he's saying here. And a neighbor is one who has your belief. So as here, you see the mother is talking about the spirit. Who is my mother? Whose spirit do I have? Do I have the spirit of flesh or do I have the spirit of Christ? See, he's saying all these things to get us to clearly get what he's talking about. Because the brother, if you don't have that belief, then you're going to not do what he's saying to do. You're not going to follow the program. Not changing your beliefs back and forth, flipping back. You're going to be contrary to him. You're going to be 100% contrary to him. And we are not here to change nothing. Nothing. We are not here to change nothing here. In fact, we're gonna run this fourth panel. I'm gonna go back to the first point. We're gonna run this one here. I want to show you how we're not here to do anything but to just follow him. But we do everything contrary. In Numbers chapter 20, picking it up at verse 17, it says, let us, as we going through this construct, you see, Moses now wanted to do something, and you're going to see what he's saying here. And he's saying this right, and he's making this perfectly clear to us. He says, let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. All we want to do is come through here. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. We just want to pass through. And he says, I pray thee through thy country. I will not pass through thy field. I'm not going to go through your field. I'm not going to go through being nosy, shopping in your store. I'm not going to be nosy going through your people. I'm not going to be doing that, or through your vineyard. I'm not going to do that. Neither will I drink of thy water. I don't even want your knowledge of your well. We will go by the king's highway. We only going to follow him. We will not turn to the right. We ain't going to turn to the right hand, nor to the left, until we pass thy borders. Till we get through here, we ain't doing, he set this construct up. All we trying to do is just one beam, and it goes right from one side to the other. And the first thing we do, we get caught up. All we want to do is pass through. See, because he told us right up front what he said from the beginning. And we got to keep going back to the beginning. In Acts chapter 19, verse 5, this is why he said this. When you go through here, now, for that reason, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, ye should be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So we just going passing through. Passing through. But we have did some things that was contrary to God. We done these things and we keep doing them. We keep doing them. So as we see this, we'll see something. In Hebrews chapter 10, picking up at verse 3, it says, for if we sin, if you're not paying attention to what God said and taking heed to it, for if we sin willfully, after we have received the knowledge of the truth, because he done told us what was it, which way to go and what to do. And once we receive that and we don't do it, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. So we're really trying to make this place that we come here, we want to make this place home. Is that what we want to do? Is that really what we want to do? Do we want to make this place home? So who is our brother? Who is our mother? So is this statement true with Yahweh? He said this and he asked that. He said, who is my mother? Or my brother? Who is it? So is that statement true? We already know it's true, but I'm just asking you, is it true in your world? Because the statement is true, for he said, whosoever, and he's going to say in verse 30, he said, he looked around about on them and sat about them and said, remember my mother and my brother. And why did he say this? He said, for whosoever do the will of my Father, will of God, the same as my brother, including my sister and mother. Oh, he's making this clear. Those the one who's following the voice is the ones I got to worry about. The ones that's following the voice is the ones we got to make sure getting to the other side. The ones that's following the voice, not turning to the right or turning to the left, those the ones is my brother. The ones not turning to the right or to the left, those are my mother. Oh, he's clear here. You have to be doing the will of God. And if you ain't doing the will of God, you ain't his brother. Let's go back over here to verse 18. He said again, And in this here, in 1822, in Second Chronicle, again, therefore, the word of the Lord, he said, and he saw him sitting upon the throne or the host of heaven. The host of heaven. And you see what he said here. And the Spirit of God said, who shall entice Ahab, the king of Israel? The king of Israel. But we just got to know what Ahab means. We're going to find out what that means. As we move forward, we're going to find out what that name means. And it says that he may fall at Armageddon. And the reason why he's telling you he wants you there at this particular place at Armageddon, because Ahab thinks he's God. A lot of us think that. We don't think, well, we think that. We think we're God. We know what gifts God gives other people. That's a God complex. Those are God complexes. See, Armageddon, and we're going to tear down each piece because Ramah means heights. It's an eminent place. Lofty. It's an eminent place. Ramah. It's an eminent place. And it tells you what Gilead. You see right here what Gilead means is it's a perpetual fountain. Heap for testimonies as a witness. In fact, when you look at the Bible as a whole and you hold to these things and you see them in Ezekiel chapter 16, and it tells you about these high places where you can constantly say these things. And we're going to look at this in Ezekiel chapter 16, picking up at verse 25. It says this at verse 25. It says, thou hast built thy high place on every head of the way, and had made thy beauty, the word of God, to be abhorred, to be hated. And when you look at verse 24, it says, thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place. Ramah Gilead. And what you need to do there. Because it's going to tell you all here, it says, thou hast built a high place on every head of the way, and have made thy beauty to be abhorred. Because that's what you're teaching. You're teaching it in this place. In this fountain. You come every week. Y'all come over here every week. Come here. So we can keep this fountain running. Telling you these lies. And it says, thou hast opened up thy feet to everyone that passeth by to multiply thy whoredoms. So he says, so I need them to fall there. This is where I want them to fall. So this fountain just runs constantly. Every week is running. We done stopped and tried to make this place home. The temple of God is not made with hands. But we want to sit there, we done built us an eminent place and call it God. So he goes on here and he's telling us. So in verse 20, it says a little bit more. It says, then there came out a spirit and stood before the Spirit of God and said, I will entice thee. I'll persuade this man. I'll persuade this seed. I know how to get this seed. Lord, just give me a shot. I know how to get this seed. Lord, just give me a shot at him. Go, okay, I know how to get him. I know how to get him, Lord. I know what to say and how to say it. And the Spirit of God said unto him, wherewith? What you going to tell him? What you going to do? What are you going to do to get these people? And he said in verse 21, I will go out and I'll be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. I'll go out there and I'm just going to be one big liar in the mouth of all his prophets, in the mouth of all Ahab's prophets. That's how I'm going to get them. That's why today you got 45,000 plus different denominations of Christian religion. Today. Oh, that lying prophet is there. Oh, he's there. He's in Mormons and he's in Catholics. He's in Islam. Oh, he's everywhere. Buddha. You name it, he's there. He said, I'll be a lying prophet in the mouth of all his prophets. I'm going to be a lying spirit. And they ain't going to be able to do nothing. Nothing. That's how he got us. That's how he's getting so many people. The prophets of Ahab. These are people that are rebellious, and enticed don't mean nothing, beguiled or persuaded. So the Spirit wanted to know how. The Spirit of God wanted to know how. He told him, I'll be a liar. I'll be a liar. I'll be a liar because these people is rebellious anyway. They are you rebellious people who don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. So he even said, I'm going to show you something. Let's pull a little bit more. Let's pull a little bit more. I want to show you something in Isaiah. Just to tie all this in and to button it up real nice and pretty for us. In Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 9, it says that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Spirit of God. So I can be a lying spirit. They're going to hear me because I'm going to tell you things that they don't want to hear. And then they ain't going to take it. But if I tell them things they want to hear, oh, they going to love me. So what he said, will not hear the Spirit of God, which say to the seer, see not. And say to the prophet, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit. You know, you can hang out here for a while. You do that, we're good. We're having the covering now of the serpent. This is what we do. We're good at doing this. So when he said this, he tells him in verse 21, he said, thou shalt prevail. Go out and do even so. Go out and do it. Go do your dang thing. Be a lion spirit in the mouth of all these prophets. And we're going to see how this turns out, because now we're going to see he put this in plan. He put this plan there to where you will know the difference. And it says, now for that reason, remember, the Spirit of God put a lion spirit in the mouth of all thy prophets. And the Spirit of God has spoken evil against thee. He ain't playing with you. He ain't playing with me. In fact, he said he was going to lay the stumbling block there. He said, I'm going to put this stumbling block there for you. I'm going to put this stumbling block so we'll know what's happening. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, picking it up at verse 12, it says that they all might be damned that believe not the truth. We don't want to hear the truth. All we want to hear is a bunch of silliness. A bunch of silliness between ourselves. We want to pump each other up. These are things we want to do. And as we're doing it, he says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth. And he says, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. That's what he want to do. This is the plan of God, to get rid of that seed. So we need to understand a couple of things, because we're going to be destroyed. We are going to be destroyed. So we need to understand what is evil and why it's set up that way. What is evil? See, because evil is in the land of Armageddon. Evil is in the wilderness. Let's take a closer look at this and personally try to understand why this is set up. We already know why it's set up because we wouldn't listen. But he tells you this in Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 7. He tells you. He says, I formed the light. I did that. The Most High is telling you right up, I formed the light. He said, and create darkness. In fact, I make peace, including create evil. It's all good for what it's used for. He says, I, the Spirit of God, do all these things. And evil is where he will fashion, he'll form it, and he'll shape it to where you'll know what it is. So get off that, oh, well, he created evil. No, he fashioned it, he formed it, and he shaped it to where you will know what it is. So don't play the game. To understand evil, God said he created it to show you what it looks like, so you can see a similitude of it, so our dumb butts can get it. We just so ignorant to the fact to where, oh, why he created? He wanted you to see it. We can't get out our own dumb way. See, just like when we'll sit there, we'll make a God. We make gods. We'll make a God, and then we're going to make a similitude of that. Oh, I'm going to shape me a God. And why? It's fashioned in the way that we want. It's fashioned in our heart. Actually, let me go there. We might as well just put everything on the table. Everything got to go on the table. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 44. We're going to look at verse 10. We're going to put everything on the table. In verse 10, it says, who have formed a God? See, don't sit there and lie to yourself. Who have formed a God? See, we'll sit there and tell these lies upon lies upon lies upon. Why? That seed is in there. When you were at the door, you took the seed. Stop lying to ourselves. Who formed a God? Or molten a graven image that is profitable for nothing. It ain't worth nothing. Absolutely nothing. We going through the wilderness and we gonna sit there and make a God. We ain't making nothing. I know we should see the point, but some people, I never did that. Okay. Keep saying you didn't. See, because now you're lying to yourself. See, a lot of us will form gods and make gods to where you can challenge God. I'm going to go back up to 45 where I was going to go the first time. Let's look at 45 and 9 in Isaiah. 45 and 9. And it says, because unto him that striveth, that fight with his maker. You can't tell me we don't do this. Don't lie to me and tell me you don't do this. We all have done this. We fight with God. And it says, let the parshard strive with the porshards of the earth. But we need to know what porshard is. Just like I said, well, we're going to get an understanding on everything as we go down. And that porshard ain't talking about nothing but clay, dirt. That's all it's saying. So it's telling us, let the dirt fight with the dirt. Why are you trying to fight with God? You fighting a losing battle. a losing battle trying to fight. You got fools right now talking about how they're going to plan and get missiles to fight God. He set up this entire construct, and now we sitting there thinking we going to get around it. We creating the devices. Everything that is created from God. Well, we're gonna use this type of dirt here, this type of platinum here. Who you think made that? Who you think did it? And you gonna try to use that against God? Or we're gonna shoot nuclear weapons when God comes? Who you think created all the materials and everything that you're using to do it with? I'm telling you right here. This it says, shall the clay say unto him that fashioned it, what makest thou, or thy work? He hath no hands. You ain't got no power to do what you talking about you doing. You got one man out there talking about now, he want to darken the sun. In verse 10 it says this. It says, woe unto him that saith unto his father, what begettest thou, or thy woman, what hast thou brought forth? This is the problem. I'm telling you, we can't get out of our own way. The same as you'll even go to the question, who made you then? What, you tell me the common sense for us to go up to him and say, God, I tell you what, who made you? And then let me talk to him. I don't need to talk to you. He formed the light, create darkness. And the first thing who made you? Is not that evil? Is that not evil? See, you're trying to equal yourself. You're trying to find an angle or try a way around it to where you can equal yourself to God. That's why people say, I wonder who started God. I want to know God. I want to know where he came from. Why? Because you're trying to find an angle to where you think you're going to buddy up with something else. Thinking you part of God. You're going to put yourself and elevate yourself above God. This is our problem. We got to understand these issues in the same thing that we going through. This is evilness. Trying to equal ourselves, and we need to understand the issue that men had. And saying the men even had this same identical issue with Yahushua, or some call it Jesus. Some people had that same identical issue with him. Because they thought he was trying to equal himself to God. But these men didn't understand that God put a word in this man. They looking on the outside armor, which was flesh, and not knowing the armor was on the inside. They looking on the outside. What are you looking on the outside? His armor is on the inside. Let's go somewhere. I want to show you something. I want to show you something. In Deuteronomy chapter 18:18, he tells you this and lets you know clear as day. In 18:18, it says, I will raise them up a prophet, a mouth of God, from among their brethren like unto thee, just like me, who Moses talking. He said, I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I should command him. All that I command him. Why? Why is he even saying that? We're going to see why, and then we're going to move forward. When we go to John 14, and we look at this all together, it says, this is clear all day. It says, and Yahushua said unto them, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. Why is he saying that? Because Philip had the same question. Philip said, show us the Father, Lord. Show us the Father, and it'll suffice us. He want to see, okay, we're going to see if we can rank somebody higher than you. He said, have I been so long with you, and yet you have not known me, Philip? If you've seen me, you have seen the Father. And how saith thou then, show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me. My armor is on the inside. My stuff is on the inside. This ain't on the outside. This is our problem. And this is the problem they had. This is why most of those Jews had these problems. They calling themselves these fake followers of Christ. They had a problem with that. In fact, let's go over to it. We want to go to it just to make sure we all on the same page. We'll see this in John chapter 5, verse 18. And it says, for that reason, the Jews, these followers of Christ, these supposedly followers of Christ, sought the more to kill him, because he not only broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father. God was his creator. Telling you clear as day, they didn't understand nothing. Making himself equal with God. So you know they didn't know nothing. These so-called followers of Christ sitting there equal. See, because equal don't mean nothing but comparable, meaning he was comparing himself to God. And that not one time he did that. Not one time. So it shows you these Jews, that's why I said they're the synagogue. They say they're Jews and they're not. They say they followers of Christ and they're not. You got a lot of us say we followers of Christ and we're not. We are temples of Satan. Got that seed in us. And refuse to get rid of it. In fact, let's pull more because they tell you seeing why right here. But let's pull more of this. In John chapter 10, verse 33. And you'll see even what they say to him and know what's going on. And we'll see it says, in the followers of Christ, these fake boys, it says, answered him saying, for good works, we stone thee not. We ain't stoning you for your good works. We ain't got nothing to do with your good work. All your good works, we're cool with. We ain't stoning you for that, but for blasphemy. That's what we stoning you for. Because thou hast been a man. You a man. Makest thyself a God. And not one time he did that. Not one time. But he holds him to a part because Yahushua don't stop speaking parables. He don't stop speaking parables. Either he gonna piss you off or you gonna get it. Either you gonna be pissed off or you gonna get it with him. See, that's the way he rolls. And he says this. He says, is it not written in the law? I said, ye are gods. Is not that there? Yeah, it's there. It's there. But they ain't getting what he's saying. That's how he catching them up. See, and the part is where he catches them on what he said. So what you do, you see what he did here. Show you the little game he ran on them, on how he did them. Just showing you the game he ran on them. He said, did I say you're God? But watch this. Let's see. Let me go down to 2. And let me see. 2. Yep, I can get it. So watch what he did here. So the same thing is, he says, not ye God. Now watch what he said. And God said, let us make man in our image. he got him on this here too. He's getting them everywhere. And he says, after our likeness and to have dominion over the fish of the sea. So we need to know what some of this stuff means, because you see in verse 27, he says, and God created man in his own image. In the image God created he him, male and female created he them. After his likeness. made in my image, after our likeness. So we want to know what he's talking about. There's know how he's coming, because Yahushua is sitting there. He ran this parable. Is it not written in the law? I said, ye are gods. See, one part we missed. He said, I said. So you already know the words was in this man's mouth. He ain't saying this. It's Christ speaking in him. He said, is it not written in your law? I said. He ain't said that. That's a man. But he said, I'm going to put my words in this man's mouth, and he going to speak all that I command him. And that's why he said, I said, ye are gods. He ain't never said he was God. Moses said he's going to be a prophet going to come, and he's going to put these words in this man's mouth. And now he's talking. Why? Because we're servants. We're servants of God. But we want to know that image. So it's the appearance, the likeness, the express image, the similitude, comparing us what we can do perfectly. Actually, let me show you this. Let me show you that. This. I want to make sure we don't get out of nothing. In Numbers chapter 12, we're going to pick this up at verse 7. Just showing you. It says, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful. The exact similitude, the exact likeness, the exact image of Christ. My servant, who is faithful in all my house. He's faithful in all his house. So he was a guide. He was a guide. That is clear. That's clear as day now. It says more. It says, if ye call them gods to whom the word of God came, including the scripture cannot be broken. These scriptures can't be broken. So if they can't be broken, we seeing what's going on here. We see how this actually happened. And once you see what happened, now people have a problem because he put the words in this man's mouth. And you see right here in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, verse 15, thy almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the land, in the midst of the land of destruction. Telling you what he did right there. But we have to remember the people. The people. As we in Armageddon, and as we setting up for this, and what he doing, he said he got to get rid of this seed. He flipping through the seed. It's the same way I call them policies. Y'all might call them sunflower seeds, but in Cali we call them policies. And what they do, you pick out the good ones. You consume the other ones. So he's doing the same thing. But you see people who say they are Jews, followers of Christ, and are not. You see which Cain. So when you look at this as a whole, we're going to see some things. We got to see these in the law. In Leviticus chapter 25, and we'll go down to verse 55. In verse 55, it says, for unto me, the children of Israel are servants. I can jump in and out as I please. I can deal with the ones I need to deal with. They're servants. They are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Spirit of your God. He's clear. See, he's the branch, and he feeds us on everything. So even with him being as the vine of everything, all the nutrients, all the vitamins and all the everything got to come through that vine and feed those branches. And those branches can grow out and start producing coverings, leaves, and they can start producing fruit, the works of it. But it has to come through that vine, that one only vine. And we live through that. In fact, we'll pull down some more on this. We'll see here in John. And we'll see this in John chapter 15. Picking it up at verse 5, he says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abide in me, and I in him, the same shall bring forth much fruit. For without me, ye can't do nothing. Nothing. So this is how this works. This is how this goes on. This is why he's saying it the way he's saying it. He's that vine, and that vine pumps all the nutrients right into those branches, and you see those branches start getting fruit, leaves. But some people are going to hold on to briars, weeds. These are weeds from the earth, brothers of the devil. So they can't abide because they into lies and everything else. In fact, we'll go right here and we'll check it. We'll look at this and understand the contrary side of all these things. In John chapter 8, and picking up at verse 44, it says, ye are of your father, the devil. In the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. Something he created. Something he done made up. For he is a liar and the father of it. So we seeing this right about with Ahab. This is why he wanted Ahab to fall. See, we see Ahab there. We see how Ahab is running. Because Ahab is being brought forth to the field to be burned. Because he's a devil. He's a liar. In the very thing, when we walking through this field, we walking through Armageddon. Oh, because we here. Oh, we here. Because next week, a lot of people ain't going to like it. But when you in this field, you have to remember everything is shiny and looks good. Everything is shiny here. And we can't get off of that. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 31, it says this, and God saw everything that he had made, including, remember, it was very good. The construct is good. The construct is good. But you got to remember what happened. He put lion spirits in the mouth of these prophets. So we seeing this today. See, we want to sit there and think, well, I'm just going to live my life and have it fun. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But believe me, you are in a war that you don't even know you're in. So if you want to be ignorant to the fact, then be ignorant still. You want to be dumb to the fact, be dumb still. But you're in a war. You are 100% in a war. And many people going to run right there to them churches, thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go there. I'll be safe there. He already told you don't dwell in places made with hands. He already said these things. And we see this, and we look at 2 Corinthians chapter 11. We're going to look at verse 14. It says, and no marvel, for Satan himself should transform into an angel of light. He's going to transform into an angel of light. He's going to build him a building. to where he can multiply his whoredoms. People, well, I go over here, I go over. You can go wherever you want to go. But don't marvel, because men are going to say they teaching the word of God. But what they doing, they showing you prophecy. And with this prophecy, God has chosen to what he's going to do to them. And actually, we're going to tell you what. Most High, he changes stuff for me. Let's look at something. I want to show you something. We're gonna go a little bit deeper here. We're gonna go a tad deeper, just not much, but just a little bit. We're gonna go to about 1.5 feet. We're gonna go to 1.5 feet. We ain't gonna go to 17 feet. We're gonna go to about 1.5 feet. We're gonna look at something. We're gonna go to Isaiah chapter 66. We want to pick up verse 4 because I want you to see something. It says this. It says, I will also choose their delusions. Who? The Most High. He wants you to fall in Ramah Gilead. Don't get that out your head. That's where he want that seed to fall, there, because he's going to burn it there. And he says, I will also choose their delusion. I will bring their fears upon them, because when I call, none did answer. Huh? What'd you say? None did answer. It says, when I speak, they did not hear, but they did evil before my eyes, and chose that in which I delight not. Every way that he didn't like it, that's the way you chose it. So he had to put this in here. He had to put this in there and saying this is our problem. And then when he do that, all of a sudden we have a problem. We want our cake and we want to eat it too. And he tells you this in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. He tells it. He says, for this cause, when he called you and you don't want to hear, God sends them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. That's why he did that. He wants you to believe the lie. Who gonna make him fall down? I need somebody. We got to cut him. We got to cut him. I'll be in the mouth of all his prophets. And see, in believing what they doing. Believing what they're doing. See, I want you to see something even with Cain. Actually, I'm going to go with Cain. We'll go away from it because we kind of went off, but we want to show you something with Cain. And Cain said this, and well, Cain did some shady stuff. And we're going to see this when Cain did. See, because we'll look at verse 9, we're going to go down. It says, and the Spirit of God said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Lying through his teeth. Lying through his teeth. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? Thy voice of thy brother crieth out unto me from the ground. So we're going to see something. He going to tell Cain what he going to do. And he said, when thou tillest the ground, thou shalt henceforth yield unto her strength, a fugitive and a vagabond. This is a lot of us. A fugitive and a vagabond. Meaning a fugitive is talking about a wanderer. We just going to be wandering. Church to church. Building to building. This is what we're going to do. We just looking. Looking for something to tickle our ears. We're going to be a fugitive, a wanderer. And then even a vagabond, mean a beggar. You got them preachers in there begging now. See, this is the mark that was set upon Cain. And he's telling you, that's the mark. So when you see this mark, you know what it is. You know what it is. So when you sit there and you see this, and now people will sit there and they'll say they got a problem with it. So you'll see this back down in verse 15. It says, and the Spirit of God said unto him, for that reason, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken upon him. Because he want that liar out there. He want him out there. He want that liar to lie like that to where you can see the difference between him and what's his. He wants you to see that. He need that similitude there. He need people like that. He need people to lie in all these churches. He need people to see. You see him on every street corner. He need those. That's why he says, if you slay them, I'm gonna get you, because I need these similitudes there. And he says, and the Spirit of God set a mark. That was the mark. He made the example, the comparison. What? Nothing he gonna do gonna prosper. Everything he gonna do, he's a liar. He's a liar. They begging for money, begging for this, begging for that. That's the mark that's set upon Cain. He ain't gonna prosper in nothing. And see people, well, I got cousins and brothers and mothers and dads in these places. Okay. See, some of them got the mark of Cain. They got that seed in them. And they will fall. See, a lot of us, we have these issues when we go to Jeremiah, picking up at verse 14. We're going to start at verse 14. And just like I said, some of this stuff is not good to hear because we got loved ones in these places, as I do. We got loved ones here, as I do. But we got to see what's going to happen because we got to remember we are in a place of Armageddon. And we're seeing how this construct is set up as we're going to see it get worse as we're going to go. Let's look at verse 14. It says, then the Spirit of God said unto me, the prophet prophesied lies in my name, meaning he prophesied lies in his way. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesied unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught and deceit of their heart. You see what he's saying here? This is the mark. This is the mark that is set in Armageddon, to where you can at least know these are like marking places. Same as markers when you're driving down the street. You got a marker that you'll see where to turn. You just got a marker where you see when you're close by. You got a marker when you sitting there, you say, okay, I need to go one more block up and turn. That's there. That's there before you. So he's telling you right here, they do visions and divinations. See, in divinations and everything else, it's telling you what he's telling you. He said he ain't sent them. So they have prophesied smooth and false visions, divinations. They influence, they foretell, they philosophers, they soothsayers. See, anyone telling you that someone can tell you about someone else, about gifts and things on another person, they're soothsayers, they're witches, they're warlocks, they're philosophers, they're foretellers. These are what people are. Because now they're telling you what's in the heart of God and what gifts he done gave someone else. This is the problem that goes on. He's telling you the thing are not the deceit of their heart. It says, therefore, thus said the Spirit of God concerning the prophet that prophesied in my name, I sent them not. I ain't sent them. I ain't sent them to you. I ain't sent them to anyone. He says, I sent them not, and yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By the sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. I'm going to consume them by this stuff here. This is how I'm going to do them. You're hungry and don't even know you're hungry. You're starved and don't even know you're starved. This is how I'm going to take you out as you're going through this world. You go out through this construct, you look in this world, look real beautiful on the outside, don't it? And as beautiful as it looks, you see people dying every day. People being robbed every day. People being killed every day. War upon war. Every day. He's telling you right up front what he's doing. And it gets more down here in verse 16. He says, and the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out to the streets. So even the ones who sitting in there, they going to be cast out. Because they was getting no food. They was getting no water. So they going to be cast into the streets. So everyone, why I said some people are sitting there, well, I got loved ones in there. Okay. But we got to keep pushing. We got to keep moving forward. Because they're going to fall by the sword. They're going to fall by famine. Many of our loved ones are going to die. See, you got to remember, this kingdom is not set for everybody. It's set for them who be obedient to the word of God, not being obedient to themselves. Armageddon was set up to get rid of that seed. And we're going to see that seed is nothing to play with even on next week. And he's telling us right here, he says, and they prophesy shall be cast into the streets. Jerusalem shall become of the famine in the sword, and that they shall have no more to bury them. None to bury them. See, a lot of people is in these churches. A lot of people in these churches that they set up in. They thinking they got serenity, they think they got security. He already telling you, they're going to be cast into the streets. And it won't be none to bury them. So we need to even know what that even talking about. Actually, I'm going to show you what it's talking about. Let's go over to it. Might well see it in Genesis chapter 23. We're going to look at verse 4. So as we're going through here, some of us going to fall through natural causes. Natural causes. Or it was our time frame to go out. But when you do that, you marked with God, or you marked with Satan. If you mark with Satan, you ain't buried. So we're going to see this with Abraham. See, because Abraham, while he was going through this wilderness, he was going through Armageddon, and Sarah died. And Abraham stood before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and sojourner with you. I'm just passing through. He said, give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. I need to put mine away. These are set for God. But you have these other ones, and the people whom they prophesied these lies going to be cast in the streets. Because of the famine and the sword, and shall none bury them. Their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters. For I will pour their wickedness upon them. He going to pour that heat and gravel all upon them. You're not getting out of this. See, people are sitting there thinking, oh, well, I can sit in this church and I'm still cool and I might change at the end, but I'm going to hang here. Oh, don't think that's going to happen. You can get that out your mind. He's going to burn you. See, and people sitting there, well, I'm going to hold on to this, I'm going to hold on to that. That's a seed that's in you. That's the seed of death. Actually, let's go a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more. And it says this. It says, therefore shall say this word unto them, let my understanding run down with tears night and day. See, a lot of us didn't get that. But we're going to see what that's talking about. We didn't get that because it went over our heads real quick, but we're going to slow it down to get it. Because we need to know what it's talking about. So why he's saying this in this way, he says, let my eyes run down with tears day and night and day, and let them not cease. For the virgin daughter of my people is broken with great branch, and with a very grievous blow. We're going to understand all that right now. Just like I said, this construct is not playing with us. So I want to show you an example here to where we can really get this. We're going to go to Hebrews, and we're going to look at Hebrews chapter 12. And we're going to pick this up on our uncle. No matter how much you dislike it, but this is our uncle, and this is Esau. And I want you to see this here. And it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person comparing Esau. He going to compare Esau as being a profane and fornicating person. And he said, if any one of us be like this is what's going to happen. He said, for one morsel of meat, sold his birthright. A lot of us done this. A lot of us is doing this. So what's happening here is this. Verse 17, it says, for ye would have afterwards would have inherited the blessing. Was rejected. It got rejected. But why it was rejected and found no place for repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. So it didn't matter how he sought it, because what we want to know is what happened. He sought that with tears, and over here, tears run day and night. So we need to know what this is talking about. See, when you sit there and you see where you see the ground and you watering it, the reason you crying because he watered the ground and you rejecting it and you crying it out. People say, I ain't never seen water come out the ground in reverse. Go cry. He watered knowledge and you rejecting it. So he gonna reject you. He's giving you the similitude of those tears. He's giving you the understanding you're going to reject his word, so now you're going to reject it. That's why you're crying. Same thing he's telling us right here, right up front on what we're doing here. He says, let my eyes run down with tears night and day, and let them not cease for the virgin. And the virgin is the proposal of being pure and not defiled. But guess what? Guess what? A great breach. A great breach happened. I mean, a great breach, a great trespass, a great offense, a great wrong we had done. And it was very grievous. It was severe. And it's telling you this great, very grievous blow, this severe blow, mean the boast of the sound on what we did. That's what this verse is saying, telling us right here in front of us. Right in front of us. Coded in a parable. Coded in a parable. So we see this right here, right in front of us. Because we are both lies and we did all these things. So we went into this delusion of falsehood and vanity. So if the Most High went out into the field of the dead, we think he should help us out. He just should just do us do us justice. We cried out and rejected his word. We rejected his knowledge in the form of tears. So he said this. We want to look at this all together. Verse 18. Let's go down through here. It says, provided I go into the field, then remember the slain with the sword. So now you want me to come here, is what he said. You want me to come here and remember you that you got slain. And it got more. It says, and if I enter into the city, then remember them that are sick with famine. But you rejected it. See, these things happens. And as it keeps going, it says, yea, both the prophet and the priest go about the land, they know not. You say, now, Lord, why you got this going on? What's going on? See, you got all this confusion going on now. But watch what he tells you as he goes through here, because these were slain with the word of God that's taught using the doctrine of men. They was using the doctrine of men, and you got slain. You got people, I was slain in the spirit. You know, you were slain with a bunch of sin. I was slain in the spirit. No, you got slain in a bunch of sin. Gyrating and all this stuff, talking about you slain in the spirit. No, you were slain in sin. And straight of Satan. So these that sick in the family, these people doing this thing. So once they see the truth, because they slain now, they're dead. But once they come to and they sitting there, okay, now we need some good right, and we need you to do something for us. See, this is what we do. These are the things we get into and think that he has to do this. But let's look at it whole. It says this right here in Jeremiah 4:14-19. It says, how thou utterly rejected Judah. You know how many people and how many crazy people running around here talking about they're from the tribe of Judah from these camps? And they don't know who they are. Don't have the slightest idea who they are. But it's telling you right now, it says, hast thou utterly rejected Judah? Hast thou so loathed Zion? Why is he talking? Why is he asking these kind of questions? What in the world is Jeremiah asking these kind of questions? It says, many will ask, have God rejected Judah or loathed, meaning hated, abhorred the soul of Zion? Have he? Have he? See, we want our cake and eat it too. We want to be able to do whatever we want. We want to be able to sit in a place of lies and still go to heaven. Let's go more with this. It says, why have thou smitten us? We're Israel. Why you do us? We're Israel. It says, including there is no healing for us. And why you ain't healing us? Why this stuff is not done? Why you ain't hooked us up yet? We're Israel. We're Israel. And I just want you to keep some stuff in your head as we go through. Romans chapter 9, verse 6. Not as though the word of God is taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Keep that in your mind as we go down over here. Because we said, why ain't nobody healing us? Hey, Lord, I know I was over here doing this stuff. I know I was wrong. I know all this stuff was jacked up. But guess what, Lord? Why ain't nobody healing us now? We Israel. We look for peace and there's no good, including for the time of healing and remember trouble. We acknowledge, O Spirit of God, our wickedness. Oh, now we know we know we were doing doggy. We know that, Lord, come on, Lord. chuckle here and there. Lord, you know we were doing jacked up. You know that yourself, Lord. Now go on and fix it so we can go on in here and go and get to live in eternity. In the iniquities of our fathers, for we have sinned against thee. We know all this, Lord. So why are you playing the game? You know this. But he goes on better. He says, they acknowledge all this, but he says, do not arbor us. Don't hate us, Lord. Don't hate, congratulate. I know you done heard that. Don't hate, congratulate. Lord, don't hate, because you can't do like what we were doing. Don't hate, congratulate. It says, do not arbor us for thy ways' sake. For your ways' sake, Lord, because you can't change. You the one put, Lord, come here, Lord. Let me talk to you. Come here. Yeah. See right here? I want you to remember Malachi 3:6, Lord. You said you couldn't change. So you can't change. I can. See, Lord, don't hate us for your ways' sake. Lord, I know you get this, Lord. See, that's what we'll do. We pull to that kind of stupidity. And it says, do not disgrace the throne of thy God. Don't disgrace this. Don't disgrace it. It says, remember, break not thy covenant with us. Lord, you told us you will never forsake us. You will never do anything. Lord, we're it. And we're still missing they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children. God just sitting there like, Yeah, keep going. Yeah, that's all he's doing. All he's doing is letting us know that. But watch this. It says, and they're among the vanities of the Gentiles. They can cause rain. So can the Gentiles cause rain? Or can the heavens give showers? Can it? Can it do these things? See, the Gentiles is rain. Can they rain knowledge? No. But we sat there for the love of the flesh. For the love of the flesh, we sat there. Making it rain. Make it rain. Like being in a whorehouse, how you see these men, they go into these strip clubs and they get these $100 bills or 20s or 50. I don't know what they get one of them, and you'll see them, they go in the club and they just shoot one out. Making it rain. Making it rain. So we said the same thing. Can the heaven give showers? Are not thou he, O Spirit of our God? You need to hook us up. You need to hook us up. It says, for that reason, we'll wait upon thee. Lord, I'm going to sit my butt right here and wait. Lord, you got to come get us. Lord, we ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. I'm waiting. Now we got an attitude. We going to talk this to God. Lord, I ain't going, Lord, Lord, okay, I get that, Lord, I was messing up. Get over it. Get over it, Lord. You wrote that. You wrote the book. I didn't write it. You wrote it. You said you don't change. I didn't have to say I didn't change. I wasn't born yet. See, this is the silliness we'll get into. This is why this construct was made. So it says this, for thou hast made all these things. You made all this stuff, Lord. Live with it. Even saying, aren't you, just like saying, aren't you God? Aren't you God? Okay, if you God, then you already know what the problem is. But watch what it says here, and we're going to go down to verse 15. It says, then said the Spirit of God unto me. So now he's going to talk to us. He finished, See, he's done with that now. He's saying, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet mine could not be towards this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. Get them the hell out of my house. You finished talking? Yeah, Lord, I'm finished. Get them the hell out of my house. Get them out. Bye. See, I'm gonna tell you something. See, people think, you see, God is a whole different ball game. He's a whole different ball game when you really dealing with him. And I'm gonna show you some more where he's dead serious about what he's talking about. In Exodus chapter 32, we're gonna look at verse 9. When he got mad, see, he got mad before. And all of us, every one of us, need to thank Moses. Because if not, he was going to hook us up. You'll see right here, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and remember, it is a stiff-necked people. They stiff-necked. It says, now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and I may consume them, and I make thee a great nation. I take all these out. I'm going to make you one, Moses. Moses, going on down, and I'm going to hook you up. Cast them out. So he says this, and it shall come to pass, providing they say unto thee, whether shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Spirit of God. Say as are for death to death. So you're going to go from death to death, bro. This is already, everybody here is guaranteed to die. So we got one death coming, and we're going to go from this death to another death. That's what he's telling you. So we're going to go from death to death. Somebody said, well, I ain't going to die. Okay, keep living. Every living thing is going to die. You're going to go from one death. Don't make you go to another death. And then he says, including such comparing are for the sword to the sword. You got it over there. I gave you the word on this side. I'm going to give you the word on that side, but you're going to go from death to death. Including such as for the famine. You didn't want this word. So you went from famine to famine. This is what you're about. This is what you want. In fact, including such are for captivity. Some of y'all, you just into captivity. So you go from one captivity to another captivity. Now you're going to be in there but with brimstones. You're in the valley of Armageddon. The first captivity, you're going through Armageddon. The world that is ever burning. That is full of desires. Ever burning. Based on what you want to live. We're in the valley of Armageddon today. This is the hour, this is the minute, this is the very second. Many would say, come into this building. Many is going to tell us that. Come here. Hide here. We're going to get you saved here. We're going to take care of you here. See, and when you see this, and when you hear that, your ears should go up. And it tells you right in Mark chapter 13, verse 20. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here's Christ. Or lo, he's there. Believe him not. Don't believe it. Don't get caught up. It tells you more. For false Christ and false prophets shall arise and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. See, he already told us, don't get caught up. He told us this from the beginning. But some of us are going to get caught. Willingly. We're going to get caught. And once we get caught and we stay there and feel comfortable, put your iPods and everything, and you hooked up now. We're going to fall. It says, howbeit that the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands. He don't dwell in these places. He's not here. So we just want to remember a couple of things as we going out and getting ready for this whole part next week. Because I'm told you, this is most people going, well, this kind of game. No, it's not no game for you. We're going to look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 1. It says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Creator of salvation, the Anointed One. You need to listen up. You need to pay attention to what's getting ready to go down. It says, and by the gathering together unto him. He's telling you what we need to be doing. It says, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as the day of Christ is in the land, is at hand. Oh, it's at hand. It's at hand, and don't let this get you, because it's gonna get somebody. But he's saying this right here clear in verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there be a falling away first, that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. That's that serpent. So as I was saying, on next week, we're going to be deep into Armageddon. We're going to see all the devices and many other things that we're going to find out. Because he's getting a lot of us just on these simple things here. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to go through this rest of the part. And as I was saying, we had some more information that we was going to do as what I was telling you about earlier. But I will be doing another teaching this week. I mean, actually today at 4 p.m. And that's this one here. Pride, ego. We're going to be doing this one. We have to do this one because it has to come forward. So we'll be right back here at 4 o'clock. Teaching on pride, ego. We're going to go through that. We're going to get some understanding there. And right now, what we're going to be doing in 1 second, we're going to be going back into the Zoom area where you can go in here and you can come back, and we're going to get some information, because some of the information that we have today is with the Passover on what's going on. We're going to go in the back and we're going to find out what's happening there. So right after we come off of here, we're going to be opening this back up in the back to where you can come in the back there and see it. And the same as tomorrow, we will be doing the second part on the Jesus' prayer is on trial. His prayer is on trial. So we're going to be going through quite a few things, but we got those that we have to face. So what I want to do is make sure that each and every one of us, that we focus on what we need to be doing. And you can look down in the description. You'll see the link to where you can come into the Zoom area, to where you can share any thoughts that you may have. And then I'm going to be sharing with you with the Passover, because a lot of things that's going on that we need to make sure we're taking care of. So with that, I say for now, until 4, I'm going to go out, and then hopefully you guys be able to join us back at 4 o'clock. And that's Pacific time, and that's 6 o'clock Central time, and 7 o'clock Eastern time. So with that, I'll say to each and every person, until later on, I say to each and every one, shalom.